NotebookLM is Google's new AI tool that needs to be on your radar. Not just because it's easy to learn and will transform the way that you research topics, find out new information and stay up to date, but because of what it represents. I'm going to run you through what NotebookLM is, how you can use it, before sharing some of the different ways businesses are already using it. I'm also going to share why it's so significant as we enter the new age of agentic AI. And getting your head around this, even as a non-techie, will give you and your business a significant advantage as we move further into the agentic age of AI. I don't think enough people are caught onto this yet, which means if you get your head around what I'm going to share in this video now, you'll have a significant competitive advantage. We haven't met, I'm Dec. I previously worked on AI consulting and engineering projects at Google, OpenAI and Zoom at one of the UK's leading startups, and I'm ex-Salesforce Marketing Cloud and IBM. I'm also building my own AI services and marketing agency called Belgrave AI, linked down below, and documenting what I'm getting up to and what I'm learning on this channel. So let's start with what Google's NotebookLM actually is. What NotebookLM does is it basically takes lots of different media sources and then kind of creates a searchable database for you to then kind of pull out different pieces of information or find what you're looking for. So once you get your head around it, it's a relatively easy to use system that lets you kind of take lots of different mixed media files, otherwise known as multimodal, and basically you put in these different formats and then you get a cohesive output. So at the moment with NotebookLM, you can use up to 50 different data sources, and you can use things like PDF documents, text files, website URLs, YouTube videos, audio MP3 files, Google Docs, Google Slides, and you can also kind of copy and paste text. So what you do is you kind of combine all of that together to create a kind of corpus of information that you can then pull out specific segments. Like this YouTube video here, for example, you can input that along with something else, and kind of whatever it is that you'd want to have as that kind of base knowledge, you can put it all in and then pull out the specific segments that you want to know or what you're looking to find out. I think it's 25 million words that you can put into each notebook at the moment, which is obviously huge. So what makes it so interesting is you can then query or question the data by kind of typing a question and getting specific answers, which kind of references the different data that you provided it. But you can also get your output in kind of audio. So the famous example that a lot of people talk about is if, I don't know, you're going to the gym and or you're traveling and you want to listen to all these different files, you can ask the NotebookLM to create a summary, and it's a kind of a two-person podcast. And then they'll kind of discuss and chat about the different data and different data sources in it, allowing you to kind of do that kind of research kind of on the go via audio. And of course, you can also do it by written words as well. So you can kind of ask it questions and then it'll pull back specific pieces of information. I've used it a few times in different meetings I've had with work, particularly some of the bigger ones where I've pulled in lots of different data sources and I'm not too sure what they're going to ask me. And then if I'm not sure, I want to get some specific information, I can kind of type and question it. And then you get the answers back. Now, especially in work scenarios, when you start kind of talking about around lots of different data sources, the kind of question of data privacy comes up, and people want to know, quite rightly, where their data is being used and how it's being used. So with this NotebookLM, it's all private and secure and kind of kept it all in the Google Cloud infrastructure, so there's no kind of failure points. But with that said, before you go ahead and use it, make sure you read the small print and that it is kind of fit for purpose and how you want to use it. I think you've probably already heard enough from me, so let's dive in. I'm going to show you this product in action. So here's a notebook I created earlier. So what I did is, as you can see over here on the left, I've got all of my different data sources. So these are our inputs. These are things like website URLs that you can input, YouTube videos, Google Docs, PDFs, all of those kind of things that we spoke about earlier. And basically, you've got all of these sources here that kind of becomes that corpus of information. You want to exclude one from your search results, you click this button here. If you want to include it, you click it there. And that's all of them. Obviously, with kind of websites and things, what's great about that is as new pieces of news or as the websites are updated, this is updated as well. Now, something to bear in mind is that when the websites are updated, for any URLs or anything you're using as your source data, this is updated as well. So if, I don't know, a new piece of news comes out or someone makes an amendment to the website, this will then actually kind of transpose and be relevant here as well. So like I say, we've got our three different kind of sources here, and then let's go ahead and ask a question. So this is on around kind of Google Cloud's agent space offer. So let's say, what is agent space? And then it kind of goes off into some thinking. And again, this is obviously only based on the different sources. But you can see it's a kind of centralized information access, blah, 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 and it gives you lots of different kind of useful information based off these three data sources. And all of that is correct. And then over here in the studio, over here on the right, that's where we've got our kind of audio overview. So we can kind of generate, or we can press customize, And this is where you give it some prompts or guidance in terms of what you want the kind of discussion and areas to focus on. So when it gives you some examples, like just discuss the novel's main character, only cover the article about Italy. So if you're looking for just specific insights and not a kind of a generic overview, this is where you click it here. You then press generate, and then you click generate, and you're kind of given an audio overview there. Something else which is quite interesting is over here in the notes section under FAQ. You click that. Obviously, it's kind of thinking it through at the moment. It then kind of gives you some suggested frequently asked questions that you can, along with the answers. So if you're maybe using this as a study guide, or you just want to kind of get up to speed with some of the key elements of the data that you've input, you kind of get quite a nice kind of summary and key kind of questions here as well. So that's a really, really useful feature and tool. There's something else that I think is worth mentioning is that I see kind of NotebookLM as almost the foundation for the next product in Google's suite, which is called Google Agent Space. Now, obviously, we saw with NotebookLM how you can kind of take lots of different kind of mixed media formats and then kind of create the searchable database, and then you've obviously got your text there, and you could also do the audio. Agent Space takes us to the next level. So agentic workflows or agentic AI is where you kind of create a system that has that kind of corpus of information, like what we saw there, but then you give it or assign it specific tasks. So one of the projects I did recently in my agency was a case study agent. We took about 60 different podcast episodes, and manually I had to kind of input each one of those kind of audio MP3 files, transpose it into text, run it through an LLM, which then kind of pulled out a specific segment. I then created a PDF for each one, and then kind of created a searchable database for them people to kind of draw out and kind of ask questions. And then once I created that, I then connected it to Slack, and from that I was able to kind of create a kind of an agent effectively, the way you would kind of ask or query different questions. Now Google's Agent Space lets you do that in a much more kind of easy way. So with Agent Space, what you could do is kind of take those 60 different kind of audio use cases that I spoke about and create an agent that gives you a kind of specific output based on your question. So in the project that I delivered, I had to always kind of use a specific format. So I had to kind of talk about some of the kind of company's policies and how they were shown in the case study, along with things like kind of the geography of where the case study took place, website URLs, and a few other kind of specifics. So you can kind of input all of that information into the program like Agent Space, and then create an agent that does it for you. But of course, that's just one example. With Agent Space, you can create lots of different ones. And so what makes Agent Space really powerful is it integrates with lots of third-party applications. I think there's only about 8 available at the moment, and these are things like Gmail, Outlook, Box, Slack, Salesforce. But I know their roadmap is quite big, and over time you're going to be able to connect with more and more systems. And so I think Google, what they're trying to do here is effectively kind of create a private searchable database powered by Google Search for different companies and organizations. So you can kind of create a searchable database and then build specific agents that connect with all your different third-party tools to then kind of perform different functions. And if you think about it, it's pretty powerful, because all of a sudden you can start building kind of an army of employees and different agents and different things which actually kind of go ahead and deliver specific tasks. So yeah, so it's a really interesting kind of space to watch, and I think it's probably something that's going to move pretty quickly as we start moving into 2025 and beyond. Now, coming back to NotebookLM, I want to talk through some of the different use cases and ideas that you might not have thought of, in which you can actually use it in your business. But before I dive into that, if you're getting some value from this video and you want to help a small business like mine grow, consider clicking the like button or subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Okay, so some of the different use cases I've thought of so far with NotebookLM, and like I said, I think there probably is quite a few more, is call recording analysis. So if you want to input lots of different kind of call recordings or audio and then kind of analyze them, maybe you're kind of working in sales, or you want to kind of analyze kind of effective sales outputs, you can do that. You can also kind of create newsletters of any kind of industry changes. So thinking back to those kind of dynamic websites, as kind of things change, you're able to kind of you could create a newsletter of different updates, which you then kind of send to yourself or kind of a small team. You can also create timelines. So that one's pretty useful. Depending on your kind of work situation, you might have lots of different documents and areas where you've kind of got key dates and you need to try and create a timeline and see what's happened. NotebookLM is great for doing that. I was actually talking to someone the other day, and what they've used it for is to ingest a series of different emails from a brand. And then what they've done is kind of created an email funnel or an email sequence based off of the kind of most effective ones from about 3 or 4 different sample sets. So that's a pretty interesting one. And you can also do things like analyze customer feedback. So maybe you've got a huge kind of backlog of different feedback from your different customers. You want to kind of input all of that and kind of spot any trends or do some kind of trend analysis. to see what your customers and kind of feedback is about your product or service or whatever it is that you offer. If you found this video useful and you want to find out some other ways in which AI can potentially help you and your business, I highly recommend you watch my video here. Thanks, and I'll see you there. Peace.